Hey everyone, and welcome to the Bliss Tonic YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful that you're choosing to spend a little time with me and in this space of personal growth, contemplation today. So today we're going to talk about cognitive dissonance. This is something that we all deal with. I can guarantee we all deal with it. Cognitive dissonance is the discomfort, the perhaps feelings of guilt or shame, this outcome of our manifestations not really taking hold, the confusion of holding two contradictory beliefs, values, and desires at the same time. And why this is important to talk about, especially in this spiritual realm, is I like to talk about it in the context of desire and manifestation, right? Of I desire this, but I have this habit that is almost leading me in the opposite direction, right? Or I value this, but I'm acting in a way that's kind of the opposite of that. And cognitive dissonance is, for the most part, for a lot of us, something that is subconscious until we start this process of excavation of our discomfort through the form of shadow work, through the form of inner child healing, right? So we have so many modalities, even in the context of getting sober. We can start to excavate some of the things that have been there all along. And so for today, we're going to talk about specifically how do we start to recognize and heal cognitive dissonance in our own lives. And so at first we recognize, where is it showing up for us? And it could be showing up in this form of like manifestations just won't take hold. And that leads us to, okay, why? What are my beliefs around that? And how am I perhaps acting out of alignment with my current values or beliefs? Or what else do I desire? And it's really interesting to start to ask yourself these questions, because a lot of times we desire to stay where we are. We perceive that staying where we are is safe, right? And so we have a lot of incentive to stay where we are. What do we get? What do we get from staying where we are now? How is staying where we are serving us? So just take a second to think about that. Is there something that you've been desiring? And, what are you getting out of staying where you are? And it's usually something that, like, if you say it out loud logically, it doesn't really make sense, right? Like, I don't logically want that. I don't logically want to stay where I am. Like, realistically, I have these goals because that sounds better to me than my current reality, right? So think about what that might be for you. How is it holding back? And another huge piece of this is acting out of our integrity. Is when we perhaps have this bigger goal, or it can be anything from like, I want to connect to people better. I want to have better relationships, better friendships, better romantic relationships, and then we don't pour in any energy into it, and we expect a different outcome, right? And so that dissonance is like, I want this, but I'm not taking the actions that are going to get me there. I want this, but actually a part of me actually really wants to stay safe and perceives that staying safe means staying where I am. Is this making sense? And so this whole mini video is really just about you planting the seeds of contemplation. And tomorrow's podcast episode is going to go out and kind of discuss how you can start to integrate some of the stuff you've been consuming, and that can lead you to a space of like, let's just get quiet and with ourselves for a moment and question some of these things. Is, how am I acting in a way that's like not actually serving my big goals? And so you have to really be clear about which one of these contradictory beliefs or values or desires, which our desire really is a form of belief. So which one of these that you're holding these contradictory desires, beliefs, values, like which one do you actually want? Which one do you consciously want? And then the work begins. Well, why do I have the opposite? Why is that also here? Did it serve me long ago and now it's not serving me? Is it actually serving me now because I think that it's keeping me safe? Right? And so that's something that you can start to dig into. How is where I am now serving me? Okay. And what I want to touch on is the importance of intuitive development. Is so important. And this comes from a quote that my teacher says all the time. She quotes, I honestly can't remember who says it. I don't want to say Dharma Mitra. I think that's totally wrong. But her teacher says it. And it is, like, why do we know what we want to do, but we can't seem to do it? And also on the converse, like, why do we just do things that they're out of alignment for us? Why can't we show up to meditate regularly even though we want to? Why is it so hard to show up for ourselves in the way we want to? And conversely, why do we keep doing the things that are adharmic for us? Like, it does not serve me to do this, but yet I do it. And the answer is unseen forces. Unseen forces. And a part of intuitive development, which is really getting to know ourselves first through this process of excavation, refinement of our subtle senses, this almost cleansing of our energy body, so we can just be more in tune with ourselves, with our own energy. And a part of this too goes into tomorrow's podcast about how much we're consuming and how much we're integrating. And so by refining our subtle senses through intuitive development, we can start to see the things that we're doing. We can start to see more of these unseen forces in our life, how they're directing our life in ways that, we're not consciously doing. We're not consciously choosing to keep doing the same thing that we know is not good for us, right? It's very much a deeply, deeply ingrained subconscious habit based on conflicting beliefs, desires, values. So with this intuitive development, where do we go? How do we start that process? And there's so many different paths and directions you can choose, but I will say the one tried and true method, the one that's not like wild, or it's not a huge, not necessarily a huge mystical experience. It's just showing up for yourself every single day in meditation. It can be a certain technique that you revisit every day. It can be a certain guided meditation that you revisit every day. It can just be sitting with yourself every single day. And even just 2 minutes a day, it's better than 30 minutes once a week, because it's the consistency. The more often we show up for ourselves, we're building new habits. We're building new neural pathways in the brain that said, hey, we don't act that way anymore. Actually, this is what we do now. And it can help start to merge that cognitive dissonance for us. And the whole purpose is so we have less suffering in our lives, so we are happier. That's the goal. So we just want to be happier. We want to reduce our suffering and increase our happiness so we can enjoy the fuck out of our lives. Because that's we have a lot of work to do here as humans. We have, dharmas, our unique purpose, the unique way we show up in the world, but we're never going to get there unless we start to dig around with who we are, and especially in the discomfort, especially in the cognitive dissonance, and especially in that shadow work, where we can start to see, hey, this is not me. How I'm acting here, that's not me. That's my conditioning. That's my patterning. That's the unseen forces working through me. But we can choose something else. And it starts by showing up for yourself every single day. Yes, there's amazing, beautiful, mystical experiences you can do. You can do an intense breathwork practice and really get an elevated state of consciousness. And I highly recommend those practices that are, like a big, expansive experience for you. But I recommend those secondary to showing up for daily meditation. Okay, I'm going to pause our video here for today, and I just want to put a little plug in. I have a free 5-day workshop coming up in our private Facebook community group. If you register, you can get access to the workbook and kind of all of the information in regards to this workshop. It's the up-level workshop where we dig into all of this stuff. So we're getting into how do we fine-tune our intuitive awareness? How do we start showing up for ourselves every single day, and in what ways is going to serve us as a whole? And then we have the shadow work and manifestation, how they go hand in hand. And then we get to talk about using the body as a springboard for spiritual awakening. And this coming from both the energetic understanding of our body, our energy body, and the scientific understanding of our limbic system, our nervous system, and the way we take in sensory input, perceived threat, and certain aspects of our nervous system are activated, and then our brain creates a story. So we get to talk about all of that in this free 5-day workshop in the container of the Blistonic Seekers community Facebook group. So if you aren't already a member, go join. On top of this 5-day workshop that's totally free, I have a lot of free content in there. I have guided meditations, affirmations. There's just a ton of stuff that will serve you with this purpose of increasing your intuitive refinement and addressing cognitive dissonance. So thanks for tuning in today. Have a wonderful day.